All right, welcome to the Max Effort Kitchen Podcast. This is Athlete and the Chef, or the Chef and the Athlete, whatever you want to call it. My name is Matt. This is Cornell. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. Just made a delicious pizza.
Oh, nice. What'd you make?
Super simple, just pepperoni with honey. But
love it. Love it. I love honey, dude. Yeah, anyways, go ahead.
I'm sure you know this. Actually, maybe you don't know this trick because you don't deal with that much with Trader Joe's doughs.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So you know how you have to get them up to temperature. So
correct. Yeah.
Well, I just turned the faucet on and I put a bowl of hot water and I just dropped the plastic bag in a bowl of hot water, and like 4 minutes later it was
done.
Like it was growing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's ready. I didn't have to wait 45 minutes.
That's a really good move. Honestly, like I don't know if I would have anticipated or thought about that. Like, why not do that? Because you're not messing with the dough. You're just raising the temperature, which you're already trying to do. It's all genius.
Sealed off, and it was like 4 or 5 minutes, and that one stretched out beautifully. So
nice. That's fantastic. Dude, so now, truth be told, there are times where I'm not the most well thought out person when it comes to the pizza dough, and I, for some reason, didn't get it free from the restaurant I work at. I will stop at Trader Joe's and grab that dough, and I have. So I'm gonna try that next time we do it. There's something kind of cool about that dough that my family really likes, which is, it's like, because in my oven I can do the whole 16-inch, so it's that's what she said. It's the breadiness of it. It's like it's really sturdy.
Yeah, and this one had, because I didn't do a double when normally I cut it in half and then make 2 thinner ones. I just did a thicker one. I stretched it. It was basically as big as I could have got it, but then it had just a real thick crust on the outside. So. Again, that's what she said.
Hey, we're all night. If anybody really cares, the reason why half my face looks dark is because my power went out right before we started the show, and so I had to switch on to my laptop, and I don't have my all normal stuff. But that's not a big deal. Probably don't want to look at my face anyways. So I did something interesting with cornbread. Now, Cornell, I don't know how you make cornbread, but I'm a big guy on nostalgia, and so I always make my cornbread with the little Jiffy boxes. Not to mention they're like $1 a piece, right? And it's like 1 egg. It's I always put honey and sour cream in there. And today we only had a little bit of milk, and I was like, oh, I want to save that for the morning. But we did have a half gallon of eggnog.
Nice.
And so I put the eggnog in there instead of the milk, mixed it up, took a little bit longer to cook, but it tastes like Christmas morning.
That's awesome.
It's really, really good. And I'm a big fan of eggnog. Like, I'm the only one in my house that drinks it. And so that means I can like take it out of the jug, like, and I love to do that. Like in the morning, I don't know what it is about it, but it's like Christmas cornbread. And so I think I found a new thing. I might I'll go like and do like maybe like a cream cheese frosting for it and make it for Christmas morning. We'll see. It's just like these little stupid things, but like it was good.
No, that sounds great. So I've only made it out of a box as well. I don't know if it was Jiffy or what it was. I think it was the Costco sells like a big thing where you just scoop it out.
Yeah.
So that's the one we normally get, but I haven't done it yet, but I do want to try it in the waffle maker.
Oh,
and then you just drizzle it with honey, kind of like you would drizzle syrup.
Yeah, that sounds great. Dude, I love cornbread. I mean, I don't know what it is. Cornbread, you know what we should do, or we should try to come up with a cornbread recipe for pizza.
That would be.
Let me see what I can do about that. Because I know we've used at work, we've done like a cornmeal crust. And I know that there's a place out there that does a full-on cornbread style crust. So I'm going to check that out, and I'll figure it out, send you the recipe, and we should both test it out and see if we can do it.
I'm picturing like jalapenos on top with like some sort of like mushy cheese, like the
Yeah.
cheese.
Heck yeah.
I don't know which one it would be called, but you know the cheeses.
Yeah, like a fresh mozzarella or something.
Something.
Yeah, so or even a ricotta.
That's what I'm thinking of.
The ricotta. Yeah, that would be really, really good.
And then make chives on top, almost like you're making a baked potato.
Yes, like a loaded baked potato topping.
Yeah.
I don't know if like maybe some like make some chili and extract take the liquid out of it and just use the innards and use that as your topping, and then like you could reduce the liquid and use and squirt it on after you pull it out. Like that could be fun. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be all night because right when I was saying that, I was like, oh, there's another one. Yeah, having fun with food. We got the big Thanksgiving coming up. We're not doing anything outside of the box. It's just the four of us. We usually decorate for Christmas that day. We put up our tree and all that. I'm doing a turkey breast and like 4 sides. That's pretty much it. But you guys got anything special planned?
Well, everyone's coming to my house because this is the last Christmas you'll be here, so we need you to
lucky you.
We got a head count so far of 30.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's only like one additional person.
Yeah.
So, and that's not even that far additional. It's like my brother-in-law's brother.
Yeah. Well, that makes me nervous. I'm not going to try to put any of my shit on you, but like, if you're into it, go for it. And I totally get that, you guys are moving and last thing, you're probably going to get that on all the holidays leading up to it.
Could be. We'll find out, because my sister also they're almost done building their house, so they want to have a big party there as well. So, okay. But the good part is my whole family is very big cooks, so they're like, we're gonna my brother-in-law is going to kill a turkey and bring it over on Tuesday, and then we're gonna fry it up on Thursday. I have to get a new fryer because I threw mine away, I think.
Okay. I heard, and I haven't seen it yet, but I heard Costco has this new turkey fryer thing. Okay. That it's like it has a basket and you press a button and the basket lifts up. You put the turkey in there, and then like the lid, it's like I guess it's almost like a trash can. You put it in there and it'll slowly press the button. You basically walk away and it slowly puts it into the fryer.
So and then shuts the lid. It's like the Traeger of fryers.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do a damn thing. Yeah. I have a coworker. Well, you guys kind of know him, Sean. He's going to Seattle, and he typically doesn't like the fried turkey, but his father-in-law is doing that and got this new contraption. He was telling us about it. So
that's cool.
I
like the adrenaline rush of that the oil amount is correct, and
there's no water in the turkey still.
It's an adrenaline rush every year.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of in on that. You're like, all right, well, here goes nothing. It's almost kind of like 4th of July, just a different time of year. Yeah. I like that. Well, 30 people. I'm sure that you will be just fine. You have a pretty incredible wife that probably puts on a lot of stuff, and your family. It's all your family. I'm guessing family, extended family. Yeah, so that's good. Well, I kind of text you a little prior to the show, just giving you a little heads up, and I thought we'd talk about really the idea of. The importance of defining your purpose in training and really establishing realistic goals, establishing milestones. I guess goals and milestones to me are kind of the same thing in a way. But like, I just think that it is super important to be intentful for have intent to what you're doing. And I think with our sport, I think it's really, in my mind, it's fairly simple to be intentful to or have some intent to what we're doing on the platform, with all of our accessories, and everything has, somewhat of a purpose. And I think there's a lot of those debatable, like, well, that doesn't transfer and that doesn't transfer, but I do, whatever. I still do Bulgarian split squats, even though that I don't understand how it transfers, and I kind of hate them. But I do them, and they make sense to me, so I do them. But what, when somebody says that, or when I wrote that text to you, kind of what was your initial thought of the importance of that?
What I liked about it is it kind of made me think about like goals, long-term, short-term. And then also, like, for someone who's just kind of getting into the sport, like, how long are they going to commit to the sport? Because I think for some people, they kind of look at it as it's a little bit daunting of like, am I going to do this forever? Am I going to do this for 10 years? Am I going to do this till my goals are complete? Are my goals realistic? Are my goals ridiculous? Like, when I hear someone say, I want to go to the Olympics, I'm like, I'm not even going to talk to you anymore.
That's not a realistic goal.
And I think that there's just so much stuff that is involved with that, because I think that one of the problems that I've seen a lot in this sport is people will push way past where they're supposed to for a meet, and then they're done and they don't know what to do after. And they're like walking around like a chicken with his head cut off, just like wandering. And it's like, I know what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
And so, I think that a lot of this stuff is real good.
Yeah.
I think it's also different. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say, I think it's also different how long you've been in the sport.
Yeah.
For me personally, now I'm kind of committing to like quarters of the year.
Right.
And it's like, this is my goal for this next quarter of the year. If I don't get it, I hope I get really close. And if I didn't set that goal, then who knows what I'd be doing.
Yeah. And I like that. I think, what I do think about the intent or the purpose is it should be like, kind of like anything else in life. As you get older, you're going to evolve as a person. So should your training, so should your goals, so should your the reason why you're doing it. I would say that if you had the same purpose for when you started versus, for me, like 7 years in, then maybe you're probably not progressing the way that you should, in my opinion, the way I should, because in order for progression, you got to hit the milestones of the goals. And then you progress to a kind of a next level. Like, okay, well, I went to AO1. Now I want to try to get to AO finals, and being very very compartmentalized with your goals. And so I think it should change, is what I'm trying to say. I think you should be able to be adaptable to your purpose behind it. But there should always be a purpose. Like, and I'll use myself as an example. When I first got into it, I got into it because I was at a new gym, and this group of people that I'd watched lift for like 6 months asked me to join them. And so I said, yeah. I didn't even know it was a sport at that point, because I was so heavily into CrossFit. I didn't know. And I didn't know who the people were or anything. And so I was just like, cool, this gives me a purpose and a reason to train hard, because I had my CrossFit gym had closed, and I was at this big Globo gym, and I was kind of lost. Sure. And so I gained purpose in a community and a schedule, and back to this idea of training really hard. And so like that gave me purpose, but that's not why I do it now.
Yeah.
And now let me ask you a question. I hear this a lot, and I do think it a lot. How much of your identity do you think should be attached to weightlifting? Well, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Wow. Because I feel that my identity is really attached to it, but I don't know. Go ahead.
I know I will say probably up until 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. Probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm trying to think about like where I was in life, and realistically, up until probably like 4 to 5 years ago, it was
Yeah.
like, this is who I was.
Yeah.
And I had all the shirts and I had all the stickers on the car and I had like, nothing that my wardrobe was like basically like Rogue and some sort of workout shirts.
Right.
And I didn't wear anything else. And then now I'm at the point, I would say probably the last 2 or 3 years, when I meet someone, I don't like, if I go to a party or if I go someplace like my kid's school or something, I never bring up the gym. I never
Correct.
bring up weightlifting. I don't bring anything up about it because I'm like, I don't want to bombard you with a bunch of stuff, but I'm also like, you're not into this, so I'm trying to learn about you. I don't need to teach you about me.
Yeah.
So I think that recently, the past few years, it's been a lot less.
Yeah.
So I think that I find much more of my identity now in like being a dad and a husband. And I'm sure I should have had that a long time ago as well, but
well, and I think it takes a little bit of maturing because I'm feeling the same way. And honestly, like I'm at a point in my life similar to you, to where I'm just like, man, the time I get to spend with my kids and my wife and my family and that type of stuff makes me much happier than this like idea of being just like the most badass weightlifter. And hey, you know, I'm not knocking people who want to be the most badass weightlifter. Let them do that thing. You know, I would say that's probably a pretty normal feeling for when you're younger, in your 20s, maybe teens. But as we mature as people and adults, we see what's really important. But I don't think that it means that we don't take what we're doing seriously. But I think it's really important to be able to step back and see perspective of like, that's not my identity. I compete in weightlifting. Yes. But I'm also a dad. I'm also a husband. I'm also, a professional in the culinary industry. Like that to me, like now, if I lost all of those, that I'd probably be pretty damn lost.
Yeah.
I know, you, when I look at you, I don't look at you as like, oh, he's the most badass lifter ever. I look at you as a friend, as somebody who we've shared experiences with, on the platform and off the platform. And like, it's interesting because at first I was like, oh, these are my weightlifting friends, but nah, it ain't like that anymore. It's like, these are my friends.
And that's what I think is more important. Because I think what might have been one of the big things is I was running cards for somebody at a fairly large meet a year ago, and he had a borderline career-ending injury.
Yeah.
And when I saw the terror on his face of like, this is it for me, I'm no longer going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I never want this to be that important that my life is over.
Yeah.
And I think that was definitely like the final like nail in the coffin or whatever of like, I need to disperse my assets or whatever of my identity in my life. And I need to not be so consumed by something that if I got hurt, it would be over.
Yeah. That's a really, really good way of looking at it. And also a really, I'm going to say thoughtful moment because, it's like, it was probably up there somewhere. And then life brought that in front of you or put that in front of you. And that's really neat. I like that story. I think I've heard you tell me that story before, off the show or whatever. And it really puts things in perspective of like, yeah, this sport, you can get hurt and you can be hurt so bad that you're probably going to be done for a long time, if not forever. And, to train and to be and to compete at a high level, you get hurt, you're probably done for a while. You're probably not going back to that high level. And that's just based off of what I know on how hard the sport is and how it makes you feel. But also, you hear me talk about this a lot, which is the idea of creating balance in life. And I know that like life's not always going to be balanced. It's going to be heavy and light and heavy and light, and you're going to have all kinds of peaks and valleys. But if you can have that perspective of like balance it out a little bit, like as of recently, past 2 months, my lifting has been what it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with missing a day. I'm okay with only like last week I lifted 3 days and I did some PT one day and I went on a walk another day. And like there was a time when that would have really like stressed me out and made me feel like I was like dropping the ball in the sport. Like I'm not paying it the dues, and that's nowhere. I don't think that's not a healthy brain to be. And I guess if you're looking to be a champion, maybe be like that. But I also think that it's probably healthier not to be like that. And you could probably still be a champion if you have the right structure around it.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other things that like, there's not that many other sports and like things in life where the better you get, the harder it becomes. Yeah. And the more dangerous it becomes.
Correct.
And the other part is like, if you looked at a graph thing, like the weights go up and your age is going up too. Yeah. So you're now getting older, which means you're more breakable. You're not going to recover as well. You're like all of those things, and you're lifting more and more weight and more chance of injury. Yeah. So most of us, I believe, are starting the sport past their prime. It doesn't mean past their physical prime. It doesn't mean they're past what they're capable of prime, but we could have all been better if we started the sport at 13, 14 years old.
Absolutely.
And like I've just started, I'm inching towards year 12 right now.
Yeah.
If I started this sport when I was 13 and I was 25, I'd be so much better than I am now.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm with you on that. But yeah,
but I don't really care. Someone told me a long time ago, you can lift a lot when you're young, or you can lift a lot when you're old. You can't do both. And correct. I would much rather I lived a great young life. I had so much fun doing all the different stuff that I was doing. And then now this is the one I'm currently doing, and I'm totally enjoying it. And if I did all this when I was really young, I wouldn't be able to go out snowboarding multiple times a week, wakeboarding, like all of those other sports that I used to do. I couldn't do that now.
No.
So I think I'm really happy with the order of things that fell for my life. So
yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I think that we both come from a very similar perspective on that, because we started later. We started as masters for the most part. I mean, I started when I was 36. Yeah. So like, I was already a master from the get-go, and I'm okay with that. And I know that people are like, oh, that's, master's division is whatever, but I don't look at it like that. I don't, you're right. There's so many experiences we had, maybe if we were in weightlifting in our 20s, do you think we would have had kids? Do you think we would have got married? Do you think we would have been in this position, this life that we love right now? I just don't know, but I would assume that life would be different if I did start it in my 20s.
Definitely.
And I'm pretty happy with my life.
Well, the other part is there's nothing we can do about it, so who cares?
Yeah, hey, that's the ultimate right there, is like there's nothing we can do about it.
Like the only thing that could change right now is if we obsessed over that and got depressed, and then it wouldn't be a good thing. So let's not even care about that.
And that would be going against my number one golden rule right now, which is, well, not right now, but in life, which is, don't worry about the things you can't control.
Yeah,
because you can't control that shit. And that's all there is to it. It's when we try to control things that we can't control that we tend to get frustrated with life. And it's a hard thing to do, but that's okay. I think overall the reason why the second part of why I thought about this is because I went for a run today, and I quickly realized that my body's not set up to run anymore. I've put more wear and tear on my body over the past whatever, since I've been doing the sport, that my knees can't handle it. My ankles can't handle it. My shins were like, what the hell are you doing to me? My lungs were fine. My heart rate was fine, but everything else was like, you need to stop and walk.
Well, I think what you need to do is you need to join a run club and sign up for a marathon and drop everything else you're doing.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Okay. Putting it out there.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'll accept versatility, but that ain't for me. So that just ain't for me. But it's running used to be a big part of my life, and I'm okay with leaving it where it was.
Yeah. I mean,
and
when I got my surgery a couple weeks ago, I was just so wanting to do something, and I saw someone like running, and I was like, I would run right now if I could. That's how
yeah. Dude, I understand that.
If I do something right now, I would take up running. If I could just go run right now, I would do it.
That's awesome. I don't even care. I just need to do something. I need to exert some energy. It's I mean, and we all know it, that like we don't appreciate what, it's not we don't appreciate it. We just forget the appreciation we have for it until we can't do it. And that's also something else about this idea of purpose, which is the longevity. Like, this is something I've always revered myself as somewhat of an athlete. And so this is my I guess my long game part. This is the second half of my life. This is the athletic thing I'm going to do. And I want to be able to do it for a while. And so having that kind of purpose and understanding and adaptability and being able to, lessen the control of what's happening and just accept it for what it is, I think the longer I'll be able to be in this sport.
Yeah. Also being able to have like the humility that it's okay to not lift the numbers that you lifted years ago, and to just accept that there's new plateaus in life, and it's still okay, and you can still have fun doing it, and you can still enjoy the process, and you can still do it.
Yeah.
I remember hearing somebody talking a long time ago. It might have been a movie I was watching or something, but it was these old guys who were in their 80s, and I think it was a surfing movie.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, I've been surfing for 60 years. And it's a sport that I was able to do my whole life. The boards got bigger, the waves got smaller, but I'm out here with all my friends and we're out surfing. So you can't do that with football. You can't do that with baseball. You can't do that with all these sports that the guy was growing up with. But this is something that you can always do. And then, like, we've talked a little bit about like Mike Bergner, and I've been to his place a handful of times, and he's got his like geezer hour, and it's just a handful of guys who are all like 65 to 85 years old, and they're just literally doing what they can, and they're just having fun and hanging out.
Yeah. It's about that idea of the community of it. And I was just explaining this to somebody. I have one of the kitchen managers that I oversee. We did his annual review, and we're sitting down and we're talking, and then he goes, so he looked at me, what, I follow your Instagram. What is it? What the sport? Is it powerlifting that you do? And I was like, no, I didn't go too into it. I was like, it's competitive weightlifting, and you compete on these two lifts. And he was having a hard time kind of grasping what it was, but like what I told him was like, why I do it is because of the friendships, the community, the going to the meets, the excitement of being able to travel and meet new people and all that stuff. And I think we all have our own purpose for it. But like, for me, that's a big part of it, of athletic events. I really enjoy being a part of them, and I really enjoy competing. But when maybe the competing ends, maybe I'll be able to coach or run a meet or be a judge or do something in the sport. And And that's what I was telling him was like, it's just such a versatile sport that you can always be involved in it in whatever way you want. It's all about your drive and how you want to do it. And I think most sports have that, but you can't, you're right. You can't do football.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine getting on a football field right now, dude. Like even with my son, I get hurt. I just pulled the hamstrings. Ah, damn it. So it's like, yeah, you just can't do it.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that I love about this. My normal answer whenever someone says, "Oh, you do powerlifting, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, something like that."
Yeah, yeah. At least he didn't say bodybuilding. I probably wouldn't even asked. I wouldn't even gone into it if. Oh, so you're a bodybuilder? No.
So when someone asks if I do bodybuilding or like, you get in like a Speedo, I'm like, no, but it's pretty close. It's a
it's
a onesie. I know what I do is more like functional strength, not showing off strength, or not. We don't look good. We just were strong.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of like that. You know what that did for me? Because coming from the CrossFit world, everybody's sexy, right? But there's a lot of pressure and a lot of like, you got to have abs, you got to be able to do handstand push-ups, you got to be able to do this, you got to have the lats and all that, whatever. But coming to weightlifting, something I really enjoyed about it was the image of the body wasn't as big of a deal. Like you see all shapes and sizes on that platform.
Yeah.
And you don't hear people like gasping or talking about it or whatever. And I really appreciate the sport for that aspect because there is a level of acceptance. Now you look at some dudes and you go like that, that dude's jacked like that guy. Like, but then you look at another guy, like I think I watched, and I don't know who it was. It was an old vintage. It was on Vintage Lifts. It was a dude that was 90 kilos and he did 190 snatch.
Yeah.
And I'm watching that and I'm like, that guy, if I saw him in the street, I would never think that he could do that much weight. It blows my mind. And I think that's something that really fascinates me is like, it doesn't matter what you look like. Like anybody can get on that platform, train to their ability and lift a whole shit ton of weight.
Oh yeah. No, I sent my buddy Nick a meme a couple weeks ago and it said something like, you could be 300 pounds and people's like, oh, look at that fat ass. But if you've got traps, so like, look at that athlete. Something along those lines.
Yeah, that's very, very true. It's like, it's the traps and like the kind of like, I guess you can call them pecs, the man boobs. But you're like, yeah, that guy's an athlete. But yeah, dude, it's a funny thing about this sport. And I really enjoy everything about it. It's brought a lot of joy to my life, but it's also taught me some lessons. And so I think you said it best with the lesson of understanding what's really important, which, to you and I, it's our families, it's our kids, it's that type of stuff. It's those moments. I tend to get emotional around that stuff to the point where we watched our first Christmas movie last night and I look over and halfway through the movie, they're all sleeping on the couch. And I'm, because I'm the guy that lays on the ground because my back hurts all the time. So I laying on the ground, I look up and they're like all passed out and I'm watching one of the newer animations of the Grinch. And, I kind of get emotional because I'm like, this is a great moment. I'm just happy with my family. We're watching a movie. We had like a little drawing contest. Like it was just like some little stupid shit. But like, to me, it meant a whole lot. And like the Grinch made me like tear up a little bit. It's like, it's one of those things. And I think the older we get, the more we realize what's really important in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of all of this,
yes,
I think that it's important for you to figure out kind of what your goals are and your plan is.
Correct.
And make sure that you're on the same page with your team and your coach.
Yes.
Because I have seen a lot of stuff and I've been involved in one or two, maybe one team where things didn't line up. And for me, they wanted me to just give up everything, and they wouldn't say that. But they wanted me to push. And kind of forget about the rest. But then I do know other people who they have these big goals and they're in a really good place in life where they can push, but they might not be the best athlete out there on the team, and they might not be the star lifter. And they're going to their coach and they're asking questions, and their coach, like, I have a friend and I'm not going to say anything about who this person is.
Okay.
Wanted individual programming, and the coach was like, no. And I was like, are you freaking serious?
Wow.
And the coach just said, like, I don't have time right now, and you're doing great on the current program, but the program is just basically treading water right now, and this person really wants to push while they can, and they have goals outside of weightlifting in life, but right now is a very good time for them to push. So I offered my services to help this person with, they're not on my team, but I offered my services to help them modify their current program to help them with their goals.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that's you make a really solid point in the fact that, like, you know, and it goes along with what we're saying about having intent and purpose and understanding what that is. And part of that is the team you're on and the coach you're with. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody I know what makes a perfect coach for everybody. I know what I appreciate in a coach, and I've had some really good coaches and I've had some really bad coaches. But you got to kind of figure that out for yourself and see what the good coaches are bringing and what the bad coaches are bringing, and then meet in the middle somewhere, or just go straight to the good coach if you can hold on to that. But it's having that ability to be able to step back and see that, and be aligned with your teammates. You're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to be, perfectly aligned with everybody. And you got to know that. That's just part of being a person. But if it still makes you happy, the coach has good insight for you and is engaged and is willing to do the things that you're asking them to do for, within reason. I don't think an individual program is that's not, out of the scope of things. I think a lot of coaches do that. But I think it's super important, and it helps your ability to still love the sport and have that longevity. So maybe I don't know who this person is, but I would say to them, if they came to me, like, exactly what you're doing here, let me help you modify. Or is the team you're on right for you? Maybe you need to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself that question. But
some of these teams, they just get real big, and then it's understandably why the coach says, like, I don't have time for this. But then other teams are too small or too new, or I don't know. Athletes are always different, but I think that the best athletes are the ones where the coach needs to slow them down, not hype them up. Because if you're the kind of lifter who needs to constantly be pushed by your coach, then maybe this isn't the right sport for you. If you're the kind of lifter where your coach is like, hey, that's 10 kilos over your prescribed weight. If you miss it again, we're moving on. Like, the best coaches are going to be pulling you back, I think. And because they're also going to give you that freedom to take those lifts that you really want. And I think I've always been someone who I was needing to be held back by the coaches that I had rather than pushed by the coaches that I had.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I like that thought. And I like the idea that, like, a coach shouldn't have to, this is such an individual sport. A coach shouldn't have to insert drive into you and insert dedication. Like, you should show up with that. What the coach should be doing is helping you with technique and programming, and, making sure that you're staying in line to meet certain goals, just like what you just said, basically. Like that. I like the idea of, like, a coach shouldn't always be having to, like, light a fire under your ass to get you to training.
Yeah.
Because that's you're right. That's somebody who probably shouldn't be in the sport.
Yeah, if I had somebody that I had to try to talk people into, this is why I don't really do programming or coaching realistically, like outside of what I do at my gym.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to be the motivator for people.
Right.
Like,
right.
That's not, I want to guide a bright freaking fire towards the direction it's supposed to go instead of having to constantly be putting gas on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't even know if I have much to add to that one because you pretty much just said it exactly right. That's exactly right. Holy crap. Yeah, no, I think that's well said. And I think that's probably a good place to stop because we're at 40 minutes anyways. So, everybody out there, like if you have any comments about this, do you hit us up, throw something on the Max Effort Kitchen or, go to Cornell and, if you know him personally, talk to him. And, this is it's a fun podcast about the idea of weightlifting and food and all that stuff. So what we're saying is based off of our experiences, right? It's not like martial law by any means.
No. I barely have any credentials.
Yeah, right.
I took 2 classes over 2 weekends.
Yeah, I love that.
You too can be just as credentialed as me for $1,000.
Exactly, and you too can pay $1,000 for a T-shirt. That's what I used to say in CrossFit because the level 1 was $1,000. All right, Cornell. Well, I appreciate everything. If I'm not mistaken, you are going to be at AO Finals next weekend, correct?
I hope it's not next weekend, but yes.
When is it?
I think it's the 5th. Like that. Oh. I think I leave on the 5th. It's like the first. I leave on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of December.
Okay, I got my dates mixed up. For some reason I thought it was next weekend, but okay. Well, then never mind. We are regularly scheduled next weekend, barring any events. But I don't have anything really planned, and hopefully I will be getting ready to move into a home. But we'll see how that happens, and I'm sure that'll start to unfold this week and all that stuff. So, anyways, Cornell, thanks again. Love having you on. Love being part of the show. And hope everybody has a great night. And thank you for listening. Adios.
Bye.